The year is 1992. The Iron Curtain has fallen, but, the ghosts of the Cold War still linger. In a quiet corner of the American embassy in Riga, Latvia, a nondescript man waits patiently. His name is Vasili Mitrokhin, and he carries with him a burden of secrets that could rewrite history. For years, Mitrokhin had toiled away in the dusty archives of the KGB, the Soviet Union's formidable intelligence agency. Disillusioned with the regime he served, he had painstakingly copied thousands of documents, amassing a secret archive that exposed the darkest deeds of the KGB. Now, with the Soviet Union no more, he was ready to share his knowledge with the world. Mitrokhin's arrival at the embassy was a pivotal moment in Cold War history. He represented a crack in the wall of secrecy that had long shrouded the Soviet Union's intelligence apparatus. However, the Americans, initially skeptical of his claims, dismissed him. Undeterred, Mitrokhin turned to the British, who recognized the potential value of his archive and granted him asylum. Little did they know that they had just acquired a treasure trove of intelligence that would send shockwaves through the intelligence community and beyond. To understand the significance of Mitrokhin's archive, we must journey back to the ashes of World War II. As the smoke cleared from the battlefields of Europe, a new conflict emerged from the ruins, the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union, once allies against Nazi Germany, now stood as bitter rivals, locked in an ideological struggle for global dominance. The Cold War was a time of high tension, marked by a constant threat of nuclear annihilation. It was a clash of ideologies, of capitalism versus communism, of freedom versus control. Both sides engaged in a high-stakes game of espionage, seeking to penetrate each other's governments, steal secrets, and undermine their adversaries' influence around the world. The KGB, heir to the notorious NKVD, became a symbol of Soviet repression and paranoia. Tasked with safeguarding the Soviet state from internal and external enemies, the KGB's reach extended far and wide. It infiltrated governments, manipulated elections, silenced dissidents, and carried out assassinations. The rivalry between the superpowers extended beyond the battlefields of espionage. The space race captivated the world as both nations poured resources into developing rockets and satellites, each vying for supremacy in this new frontier. From Yuri Gagarin's historic orbit of Earth to Neil Armstrong's giant leap on the moon, the space race became a potent symbol of the Cold War's technological and ideological competition. Vasili Mitrokhin was an unlikely spy. A quiet, unassuming archivist, he had spent decades working in the bowels of the KGB's first chief directorate, the department responsible for foreign intelligence. Day after day, he had sifted through mountains of classified documents, chronicling the agency's covert operations around the globe. As he worked, Mitrokhin became increasingly disillusioned with the Soviet regime and its ruthless methods. He witnessed firsthand the extent of the KGB's deception, manipulation, and brutality. He saw the names of innocent people whose lives had been destroyed by the agency's paranoia and thirst for power. Driven by a sense of moral outrage and a desire to expose the truth, Mitrokhin began to secretly copy documents, smuggling them out of the archives and hiding them at his dacha outside Moscow. For years he lived a double life, outwardly a loyal KGB officer, but secretly compiling a damning indictment of the organization he served. Mitrokhin's archive was a testament to his meticulous record-keeping and his unwavering commitment to exposing the truth. It contained a wealth of information on KGB operations, including the identities of agents, details of covert operations, and evidence of Soviet interference in foreign elections. The Mitrokhin Archive, once in the hands of British intelligence, proved to be a goldmine of information. It offered an unprecedented glimpse into the inner workings of the KGB, confirming long-held suspicions and revealing shocking new truths about the extent of Soviet espionage and subversion. The archive exposed a vast network of KGB spies and informants operating across the globe, from high-ranking officials in Western governments to journalists, academics, and even religious leaders. It detailed KGB operations to steal nuclear secrets, undermine NATO, and support communist movements in developing countries. One of the most startling revelations was the extent of KGB penetration of Western governments. The archive revealed the identities of numerous high-ranking officials who had spied for the Soviets, betraying their countries and compromising sensitive information. The archive also shed new light on the KGB's use of disinformation, a tactic that involved spreading false or misleading information to sow discord, undermine opponents, and influence public opinion. The KGB was a master of disinformation, using forged documents, planted stories, and rumors to discredit its enemies and advance its own agenda.